Hi. Hey, everybody. It's episode 6.
I can't believe it's been six Mondays already.
I know it went by fast.
I
Um,
know.
I'm Dr. Dana.
I'm Amber.
We are Moms on the Mind coming to you live on another Monday night. Girl, what are we talking about today?
Okay, so first of all, Moms of the Mind is all about parenting, mental health, education, and we always start off with
Mommy
Mommy
meltdown.
Meltdown.
Oh, I
So,
got one today, girl. I
you
got
got one? Okay,
one.
I'm gonna let you get started then because
I
you're ready.
am ready. So now, I think it was episode 2 or 3. I already talked to y'all about this whole, daycare pickup situation I had going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on this day, once again, Thursdays tend to be a rough day for me. And my husband does the drop off and I usually do the pickup. And so it's hard for
On
me.
Thursdays?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, usually because we both have to be there at 8 o'clock. So I do more of the drop offs the earlier, he does the later. Anyway,
Okay.
but he does the drop offs, I do the pickups. But for me in the afternoon at work, I am kind of supervising other people. And so I tend to run a little bit more behind because the schedule is not just dependent on me. Not even, child, not even. And so right now, of course, we have to pick them up by 5. So on this good day, my husband just happened to end up getting, off of work around the same time or like a better time than me. So around 4:30, almost like right before it's time to pick him up, he's off work, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows Thursdays is rough for me because I am burning the highway to get to them so that I
Mm-hmm.
don't have mommy guilt about being the last one to pick him up. So I'm on the phone with him and I'm just driving home. You call him, you on the way home. He's driving too. And I'm thinking he driving. Girl, he was at the house already. I said, how you get at the house, right? What you doing? I said, I'm sitting up here, I'm stressing trying to get the girls. So, hold up. You know that I'm trying to get there as fast as I can, and I'm almost gonna be late. And you didn't think to go get them?
No, they chilling at the house. Oh, I got off early. Let me
Oh, I
go
just
see.
got finished using the bathroom, and I was sitting here looking through the mail. If you don't get yourself over there,
She had a mommy wife meltdown, y'all.
yo, I was like, is you serious? It went down.
Mm.
I didn't collect it myself. I had to
So
pull.
who went to pick up the kids?
He was gonna get there first anyway because he was at home
Oh.
closer to them, and of course it's traffic down the interstate. So
Mm-hmm.
he got himself together. We got him
Mm-hmm.
together, and he went to go pick up the kids. And I'm like, I was just so upset because I feel like, and this happens a lot with moms. You're like the default. Like if something
Yeah.
going on, you the one taking off for sick days first. You the one, and I think honestly, he's done a good job of rearranging it like that these are my days. Okay, if they get sick, da. But on that day, he must have forgot what it was.
Mm-mm. He was like, it's me time.
Oh, no, ain't no me time up in this. We self-care on Sunday, sir. Thank you. Go get your kids. Okay.
Self-care Sunday.
Okay, that's for everybody in the house. So I was like, you better go get your kids. And please feed them. Do not pass by because I'm running late now. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna have time to get there and
Cook.
cook. Like I
Yeah.
should have to tell you these things because your kids need to eat. So
Right.
my mama meal day, y'all. It was about to go down. We was almost
Mommy.
separated.
Mommy/wife meltdown.
You
We
know,
all have them.
thank you very much. No repair needed. Thanks.
Drop a heart in the chat if you have a mommy/wife meltdown.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay. I last week I was doing
I
good.
know, girl, because I'm interested to see how I go this week. Interesting minds want to know.
Well, I did have a mommy meltdown. So we talked about like planning the week and how it's not gonna always go as planned. And so I don't know what is going on with my 1-year-old where
Mhm.
she was doing great sleeping through the night. But recently she started waking up and just she'll go back to sleep, but she wants to be held. Where Nick can hold her and go to sleep, like he can lay down. I can't do that. Like I'll try, but I don't get good sleep because I'm still, even though she's not like a newborn or anything.
Right.
I'm still just really nervous. I'm not comfortable. I just don't get good sleep if and then she won't. I'll probably get better sleep if she'll lay beside me and go to sleep. But no, she wants to be on me to go to sleep, go back to sleep. So she had been waking up like the whole night. So I didn't really get good sleep. Nick was like knocked out. And I will say he usually does a really good job of getting up when and like getting her. But he had a long day, so he was like knocked out. So I had her. So I didn't really get good sleep. So we wake up the next morning, still got to wake up at 5 a.m. Everybody still got to go to work, still got to go to school, getting everybody ready. And even as laid out as I had everything, my oldest still didn't like get the right shoes or put on the shirt the right way or, get the lunch together and, get his computer because he takes that computer back and forth. And so I kind of snapped. And it wasn't because he, just forgot things. It was because I was just tired and I just didn't feel like being like, did you get this? Did you get that? Like I needed that particular morning. I needed things to go a little bit smoother because I was already on edge and we were already running late because I didn't get any sleep. When I did fall asleep, I woke up later. So anyway, I was like, what are you doing? You're 8 years old. You need to do this and get this and get this. I can't tell you what to do every time you got to do. And I felt so bad because it's like, even though your morning is messed up, you don't have to mess up somebody else's morning.
Right.
And like, he's a kid. And so like, I felt horrible because he was like, sorry, mommy, sorry, mommy, sorry, mommy, sorry, mom. And he was frustrated. Mm-hmm. And so before he went to school, I had to say, mommy's so sorry. I'm just really tired. And we used to have this list for him in his room where he could check off like what everything he needs, because he takes a lot to school. I mean, to have to take your computer, your lunch bag, your like the mouse, the charger, like your jacket, your folder. Like there's a lot for him to keep up with. And so we used to have this list where I didn't have to say constantly in the morning, oh, did you put this in your backpack? Did you, put lotion on? We had a system. Anyway, we didn't have the list. I think I'm going to incorporate the list again.
Return.
Yeah. But I did a Dana moment. I repaired. I had to repair. I had to.
Look, you can only go up from here.
I have to do a repair. And so we have a little saying that we say in the mornings to kind of help him have a good day. Mm-hmm. And so we did our little saying, and I apologized and told him I hope he has a wonderful day. I gave him a hug and I asked him if I messed up his morning. And he just kind of looked at it. I was like, you can be honest. He was like, yeah, a little. And I was like, I understand that would have messed up my morning too. And so I gave him a hug and I started playing with him to get him to laugh because I just felt horrible.
Right. But that's good that he felt comfortable enough with you to say yes, because some kids wouldn't say that because they'll, be too scared.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's
that
okay.
was my moment.
You still feeling bad about it.
I know, so upset.
Release, It's okay. And I feel like this is like classic mommy moments that everybody has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was this morning, so
yeah.
It's still fresh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
on to the content for today, people. So today we're doing a part 2. As you know, it's still the month of September, and
the best month ever.
You can tell when it's somebody's birthday. They feel like everything in the month like related to them.
And my birthday, I had so much fun.
Listen, we're not gonna be celebrating your birthday on Moms on the Mind every Monday. I'm letting you know now.
Why not? I mean, okay, go ahead.
Fix it, Jesus. Fix it. Fix it, Jesus. But it is Suicide Awareness and Suicide Prevention Month this month. And we did an episode and we talked about a lot of things, but there's just so much that encompasses this topic in relation to kids. And one of the things about Moms on the Mind is it fuses bridges the gap between education and mental health. And we talked a little about, the signs and risk factors, but we didn't talk about in the episode was, how it impacts the school and things like bullying, which, as we've known in the last recent years, that has become one of the predecessors of some of the kids committing suicide, whether it be in the school or social media.
Yep.
So today we're going to talk a little bit more about bullying, what you see, how to talk to kids about it, and things like this. And this is all Amber's expertise right here, honey, because I cannot tell you how many parents actually don't know that their kid is being bullied in the school at all, or they go to the teacher and they feel like the teacher #school or /school or whatever is not addressing it, and they don't know what to do and how it impacts the kids, later on, when they continuously and chronically are bullied. So I guess for you, Amber, like, what are you seeing in the schools, like, and how can teachers or parents like stimulate these conversations about bullying? Because I find that parents don't know sometimes.
Right. Well, I think the first thing is to kind of talk about what bullying is, because it's kind of like that buzzword that's being thrown out a lot. And so a lot of times schools have to decipher, is this true bullying? Or is this a one-time incident?
Gotcha.
And
but if it's a one-time incident, it still could be bullying, all right?
So not usually bullying is something that's ongoing. If it's a one-time incident, then
incident.
What you say?
It's just an incident then.
Yeah, it's like aggressive behavior. It's an aggressive behavior that happened. Now, should there be consequences for it? Absolutely. Gotcha. Should there, should the child, the victim, be consoled and talked to and told what to do if it happens again? Absolutely. But typically, bullying is something that is ongoing and is deliberate. It's like he was being bullied and a child messed with him. I don't have to go into what the full definition is, but what I do want to do is investigate it myself and ask more questions to determine, was this a one-time incident or is this something that's happening, all the time? So in the schools, I feel like, and because suicide, like bullying victims are 2 to 9 times more likely to consider suicide than kids who are not bullied. And so I think the schools are really taking it seriously, as anybody should, right? But I think the rate of suicide that's going up due to bullying requires the schools to do some extra things.
100%.
So I think the first thing is to talk to your child, just kind of like I just said with that I do, figuring out, is this a one-time incident or is this bullying, and then investigating and see, having that ongoing conversation with your child. And then I was reading an article and I really like what they said about the parents getting involved with the schools when it comes to bullying. A lot of times everybody wants to go straight to the principal. That's fine. You want to go to the principal, you want to go higher up. If you, whatever floats your boat, whatever you feel like you need. However, the people that are with your child
are the teachers.
And like, they need to know that you feel like there's an incident of bullying. Okay, so I know we use our kids as examples all the time. It's just our point of reference. But I remember in kindergarten, my oldest had said something about him being bullied. And it turns out it was a one-time incident. But I immediately emailed the teacher and said, here is the incident that happened. Can you please keep an eye out? And thankfully, like, my child told me the other child's name. So I was able to tell that name to the teacher and say, this is what he has said has happened, And she was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. This must have happened out of sight. Right. I will keep an eye on it. And I will make sure that when I see conflict, I make sure they're separated, blah, blah, blah. So, communication with the teacher, and I know we talk about this all the time, but communication with the teacher and communication with the adults. Now, there is at one of my schools that I used to work at, they had this little box
Mm-hmm.
of like where a child could write down that they were being bullied and what was happening.
Oh, that's
Because what we find is that they are scared. If your
they
child is
don't
really
say
being bullied,
nothing.
they're scared to talk. They're scared to go tell the teacher. And a
Right.
lot of times the bully may have said, "You better not go tell the teacher or I'm gonna do XYZ," you know? So
Oh,
they're
you
scared.
know the kids come in, snitches get stitches, Dr. Bradley.
Right. So they're scared to tell the teacher, they're scared to tell the principal. So they have this system, and maybe if you feel
Mhm.
like this is happening at your child's school or you feel like this is a good idea, email the principals or the teachers and say, "Hey, I heard about this and this might be something y'all want to implement." Anyway, so they had this little box and they had notepads and they introduced this to all the kids at the beginning of the year. They reiterated it every now and then to say, if you feel like you're being bullied and you don't feel comfortable coming to an adult, then you can write down this incident. You know, if you want to put a child's names, you can, and stick it in the box. And they had somebody to check the box daily, and then they investigated through there. And it worked. Like some of the kids really did it. Like some, they really put down things. And so it gives your child that escape, right? Like to be able to be, I can tell someone in confidence, you know,
Without
what's happening.
right
What's
penalty,
happening.
because they're
Yeah.
always scared the bully's gonna find out, and it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be worse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we talked about talking to the teacher. We talked about talking to your child. I think another thing is we had an episode about depression. Um, So when we think about bullying, a lot of times bullies pick on kids who they feel like are quote unquote weak.
Yeah.
That's not always the case,
Right.
but sometimes if kids are already experiencing depression and they're,
Or anxiety
or
and
anxiety, and then bullies might pick up on that
yeah,
insecurity
yeah.
and they become a target. So I think watch for the signs of depression, and to get more on the signs of depression, go back to our episode on YouTube
Thank you.
and look at that episode about depression and what to watch for, because you want to watch for your child's depression, because that depression could be a
Right.
target for bullying, but it could also be
Right.
the reason, like bullying could be the reason, that they
That
can.
they are depressed and they're just
Right,
not telling you, because that
right.
is oftentimes not. I'll go back and I'm doing a history, and 2 years ago they were being bullied and it was rough and they didn't tell anybody, and it was all these kind of things.
Mm-hmm. 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 I think the other thing is this is what the schools are doing as well to kind of help prevent the bullying, is to
Mhm.
teach kids about bullying. So not letting it be, and I think that's why it becomes a buzzword so much,
Yeah.
because we are trying to teach kids that this is what bullying looks like. And if you feel
Mhm.
like you're being bullied, then come talk to us, or here are the steps to take. And so, of course, those steps are to contact an adult, let an adult know what's happening. Um, so at home, talk to your kids before they even go to school. What
And
is bullying?
I would second it, especially middle school age. I feel like bullying in middle school is oftentimes worse than high school, because that's the kid your kid is like still really forming their identity and trying to figure out where they fit in with their peers, like
Mm-hmm.
who's better, who's not, do I fit in, can I advocate for myself? That's like the
Mm-hmm.
stage of development they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have somebody harping on you when you're going through growth, that's you think about puberty starting at 10 or 11 in kids. So biologically, on that level, it's a time where kids' voices are changing, where they may be gaining weight, they may be losing weight. The girls are getting taller, so the girls may be bullied for that. They're getting physical characteristics, and so that may make them stick out more so than
Mm-hmm.
kids. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like going into middle school, sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh, like you need to be having these conversations with
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. And just to go back, I know I was all over the place because I like to just kind of throw it out there and let you all know that all the steps that you need to take. But You asked me about what steps the schools are taking when they hear that a child is bullied. And so to go back to that, there are processes that are taken where there is like an investigation, they call
Mm-hmm.
it. There is a specific form. And this might not be the exact steps, might not be in every school district, but this is just what I've noticed in the school districts that I've been
Mm-hmm.
in. There is an investigation where they talk to the victim,
Right.
and they talk to the who they feel like is the bully, or who the person has said that they're a bully, and they talk to them separately. They call both parents, and they talk to both parents about it, and then they come up with the plan. If it can't be, if it's a situation, of course, where the bully is not really accepting that they're doing something wrong, and you
Right.
know, then they come up with a plan to help the child separate. Like, I
Right.
remember when we would plan what classrooms the children would be in. So
So
there
they
could
won't
be.
be together.
So
Gotcha.
I mean, there are some strategies, and then if it gets really bad, especially like you said in middle school and high school, they do have they're called safe stay away plans.
Mm.
And so, like, it's easier in elementary, but when you get to middle and high school,
Right.
like, it is a full document that is in the child's folder, and it's called a stay away plan. And there is a plan to make sure that this particular person, and this is even for when you're dating and there's domestic violence, there's date violence, and
Right.
a girl or boy are hitting or abusing the other one, then they have stay away plans to help the kids be able to attend the same school but not be in the same environment. And everybody knows about, not everybody, but
Gotcha.
everybody who needs to know knows about the stay away plans to help keep them separated.
So we need to talk to them early. If they feel like they're bullying, have a conversation with the teacher first, then escalate it. Make sure that the school is addressing things with the principal. Make sure there's a stay away plan,
If
and then
necessary.
talk to your kid about it more.
hmm
Is what I
and
think.
and the last thing I will add, and then I want to ask you a question about this,
Mm-hmm.
is tame your child's technology. Social media, oh my gosh, is like
The bull.
huge.
Oh,
Yes, when it comes to bullying, like
oh.
cyberbullying, it's called cyberbullying.
And it's even
And
worse now with everybody. Like you said, your kid has to take a computer to school, so they have computers all day now.
and so a lot of times cyberbullying, we have seen cases where cyberbullying is the cause of, or is the reason that people cite to taking their lives, committing suicide. Because I feel like cyberbullying is worse because it's not face to face, and so much can be said behind a computer screen, and
Yeah.
so much can be said typed and sent messages to the person. So, know your child's technology. You were telling me about what app were you telling me about where you can see your child's keystrokes?
Oh, Barker. So this is the thing. Social media, this all kids have. There are a lot of advantages to it in terms of being able to, communicate with people, have a community of people, find games. There are all these other disadvantages to it, and one is inappropriate social media use. And this is within the games that your children play. This is outside of the games: Instagram, Facebook, chat,
Mm-hmm.
Snapchat, all of these things. And so a lot of parents have taken to downloading apps where it mirrors a keystroke, so they know especially the teenagers, so they know what content is coming in. Barker is one.
Mm-hmm.
Google some, but we can also kind of give you a list in our on our social media platforms of other ones that parents are used. I will say some of them are free, but some of them they do cost money. Well, what happens is whatever they type comes to you, whatever comes to them comes to you, and so you
Mm-hmm.
have a kind of a way to know what's going on with your kid. And I oftentimes use this for, especially my teenagers who were maybe experiencing, like you said, dating violence, or people are prodding them or trying to attempt to get them to send explicit videos or pictures
Yeah.
or things like that. So, we're going to have a whole talk about social media use during Suicide Prevention Month as well, because I think that will kind of fall in line with what we're doing as well. um but monitoring the social media is like so key right now, and making sure you know what your child is doing, making sure you have parental guidelines, making sure you have a designated time for screen time and their screen off time, and making sure you're following your kids on each site, making sure you following them on their Instagram and their Finsta. That's the fake Instagram that they set up so that you don't know that they got a real Insta.
What you say, Finsta?
Girl, they have these kids are correct. Girl, it's like you got to be the FBI to be a parent these days. Like,
Finsta. I've never heard of
oh,
Finsta.
I know you have, girl. Like,
I have not. I
like
mean,
multiple accounts, and so
I mean,
follow
yeah.
them. You know,
Should say Finsta.
I'm serious, and that's
Yeah,
all.
I can see it.
Up to date kind of stuff that they're doing. So you need to know what they have. You need to set the parental controls. You need to follow them, and you need to know like the friends that they're associated with. Who are these friends? It's always good to know who your kids are in communication with, because parents oftentimes can meet a friend and say, "Yeah, that ain't gonna be good." I can
Mm-hmm.
already see where little TT gonna take this
Mm-hmm.
conversation. It's not gonna be good. And so you got to kind of be aware of that, and what's going on. And I really, really think that monitoring the social media this day and age will give you a key into what's important to your kid. And if you're able
Yeah.
to stimulate dialogue, they may come and tell you what's going on, because you
Mm-hmm.
are the soft place to fall and you don't have to worry about it, as much.
Yeah. So we know that suicide doesn't have a certain like
Look.
risk profile. Yeah, like a look at it. We also know that so many high schoolers, I think it's like 32%,
Yeah.
32% of high schoolers experience sadness and some like a signs of depression at some point during their high school year. And so knowing that, and knowing that there's no certain look, and when you get a middle school, high schooler
Mm-hmm.
saying, I want to commit suicide. I know we touched on this in
Mm-hmm.
the first section when we talked about suicide, but I think it's worth reiterating. What do parents need to do when they hear their child say that they want to take their life, or they feel like they're taking life? Or let's even go back to this, because what a lot of times in high school, they're cutting.
Yes.
They're hurting themselves. They might not be saying, "Oh, I want to take my life," but
Right.
they're harming themselves. They are cutting. What do you advise parents to do in those instances?
So there's kind of two avenues. There's a split. So there's the cutting behaviors that oftentimes are not suicidal behaviors but are detrimental, and they are very serious. And then there's the suicidal thoughts, whether it be passive or active. Passive means, them saying, I wish I could just die. It'd be better if I wasn't here. Nobody would miss me if I'm gone. Or they start giving away their possessions. Nobody would care. I'm not making a mark. I'm not here for anybody. Nobody would miss me. And so the first thing is take it seriously. Number one, the first thing is remain calm. It is alarming. It is off-putting. It is jarring. The physical reaction and emotional reaction that parents have is definitely there, and it's appropriate, but you need to contain that. And when you're talking to your kid, you need to be calm, because they need to know that you're not going to go so far off the wagon that now they're managing their emotions and yours too.
Mm-hmm.
That you need to maintain calmness and control. Number two, do not say, oh my gosh, they're just in it for attention. Are there maybe 1 or 2% of the time where that's the case? Yes. But for the majority of kids, it's not for attention. It's really not. And so
Right.
don't shrug it off and assume that they're going to get over it, or they're just doing it for attention. Number three, locate a professional or a mental health professional. That's the biggest three things. The other
Mm-hmm.
thing is, stimulate conversation that is open but not so pushy. And this is a very hard thing to manage with a teenager, because you want them to come to you and talk to you about it, but that will depend on your ability to remain calm and what they fear in your reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also, like, you still have to parent them. So the biggest thing is, after having these thoughts, can my teen be in the room by themselves? Or can they close the door when they go in? Do I have to, all of those things, you have to balance autonomy, which is them being able to feel like they have some security or saying so, but
Mm-hmm.
parenting. And you can't slack on either or. So right now, I think your door should remain open. However, for these hours, we can close it for you to go to sleep or for you to change clothes. And some of this can be guided by a therapist, your
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrist, and things like that. Also, one of the biggest things I see is that when kids are suicidal, they fear getting taken out of school because they're so depressed about their grades. Like, if you have a high achieving student who's worried about the ACT,
Mm-hmm.
they're having these thoughts because they're so stressed out about school, and
Mm-hmm.
main stressor, but then they don't want to go to a intensive outpatient program. They don't want to go to the hospital because they fear that I'm going to get so behind in school. Talk to the school. Everybody don't need to know your business, no, but the counselor and primary school officials that are going to make break the grades, there sometimes are, like, I can send a letter and say, hey, this kid is going to be out for this. Can we send work home for this amount of time?
And I was gonna say we've worked with
Yes.
outpatient facilities to send the work. They have teachers at some of them.
So it
Um,
depends on the outpatient facility. If it's a
yeah,
full inpatient unit, no work is being done. But it depending on how long the decline will be, maybe if it's going to be 6 months, that's a modified curriculum, or that's accommodations for
right.
emotional disturbance, or
Well,
that's teacher. We can go to an online for or do something. Like, teachers are willing to work with you.
yeah.
But they gotta know this is a time where what stays in the house is not. That's this not the appropriate time for this.
Well, and a lot of times I've seen when kids go inpatient, the facilities are usually good about contacting us because a release of confidential information is usually signed from the parent, and they will contact us to figure out an ease in plan.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times they can't just jump back into school, so they talk to us about how to ease this child in, because they may have missed a lot, or so we that I'm glad you brought that up,
Teachers
because that
are
is,
willing to do it. I say it depends on your school district, your facility,
yeah,
all of
that's
that
true.
stuff, and like what type of mental health treatment you're getting. Because an intensive outpatient or partial hospitalization work with schools, whereas a full inpatient sometimes are like they hit it, quit it, move on. In a
Yeah.
sense. And
Okay.
so those are some things that I think are just going to be helpful. During these weeks, again, we'll have slides, stuff on our social media platform that's dedicated to the myths about suicide, with parents, what to look for, what they should do. So please stay tuned. Continue to like, subscribe, share, and send us more questions, because a lot of
Yes.
content is stimulated by you guys DMing us and really having real life questions about it.
And we know it's a lot. It's a lot of
Yeah,
information.
yeah,
We've talked about bullying, cutting, suicide, like it all, depression, it all kind of goes into one. So feel free to send us the questions. Okay, so last thing, question of the day. Let me go to it. Hold on. We had a question. Question of the day. We'll take a couple minutes to do this question. It says that my child is 3 years old, touching himself all the time. Is it normal?
Mm, mm,
That's
mm.
a good. I've never like
I'll look at that question up
like
there.
I've always felt like it was more developmental. Like I never
Yeah,
really.
but that's you're a teacher, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So then, yeah. What do you
This
think about this?
question from friends, family, and not necessarily from people whose kids are in the going through mental health crises or problems, but they just like, oh, little Johnny's up here kind of touching it, Am I supposed to stop that? Are they mad? Like, what is going on? And you are completely correct in it being a developmental kind of thing, because you have to think at 2 to 3, kids are like, I'm a girl, I'm a boy. At
Right.
3 or 4, they're like, a girl means I have these parts, a boy means I have these parts. And kids are very, very curious. There actually is some, stuff to all that stuff Freud was talking about. When we talk about Freud and his psychosocial development and what happens with Oedipus and all these things, like that stuff is actually real.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is there is a period where kids are exploring themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're looking at them like, what is this? Like, how does, and they realize that moving it or manipulating it in some ways may give a positive response, or it may feel good to them. And so the number one thing you need to say to yourself is, it does not mean that they were sexually abused.
I was like, I think
if they're in doing this and they're just looking at it, that does not, it can mean that it's just totally part of, normal.
And that's what we go to. Like, sorry, sure. I know it says the same, but as a parent, like, it's just like, oh my God,
And so what you do is teach kids that this is these are your privates. Number one, teach your kids the real name for things: vagina, penis. If something were to ever happen to your child and they have to go to a court of law, they need to know that it's not a poo nanny. It's none of that. It is a vagina and a penis. And then you teach them that there ain't nobody touching your vagina, your penis, your breast, your chest, unless it is mommy or daddy or the doctor. And if someone tells you don't tell, then it doesn't matter what they say. You should tell mommy, because mommy and daddy and us, we don't have secrets. We have no secrets. There's never going to be a secret that we're going to have that you can't tell me. If they say something bad is going to happen to me, that's a lie. You come to me. Now, with that being said, that is different from overtly sexualized behavior that you see in kids. Them touching themselves and playing between 2, 3, 4, 5, completely normal. But if you're seeing overtly sexual behavior, like they're taking their dolls and simulating what would look like a sexual experience, that is a different thing. Or they are mimicking things that appear to be sexual in nature that a kid shouldn't know. Or you walk in on them and they're doing certain things with their friends, and not just like looking or whatever, but things like they're taking down other people's clothes, looking, touching, feeling, and things, and you see it done repeatedly. Then you have to wonder. And then I would say, mental health professional or pediatrician.
So that was a loaded question. Like that was like, because in my head, I was just kind of like, isn't that developmental? And I just stopped it there. I didn't even think like all the other things that could,
Well, it does. Even quite recently, I've had this happen, and it was not a developmentally normal thing.
Yeah.
And so it does happen. And oftentimes people think, oh, it's the coach, or is this somebody off the street? The most common aggressor or perpetrator is a family
somebody
member.
From me, somebody,
or other kids,
right?
Because
that it has happened to them, so they do it.
Stimulating the baby.
But to answer mom's question,
it's developmentally normal between 2 and 5 of touching and curiosity, and the only thing you need to do is teach them privacy. Nobody touches. This is yours, and we don't have secrets. And to explain to them, if any of that were to happen, you come to me directly.
All right. Well,
that was heavy.
That was like a deep question. Like that was like, woo. All right. Well, you all like, share, subscribe. We enjoyed you all. Get back on here next Monday.
Yeah, and keep sending us more questions.
Yes.